Welcome, history buffs. Today, we're diving into the legendary life of Hannibal Barca, the Carthaginian general who dared to challenge Rome. Renowned for his brilliant military tactics, he famously crossed the Alps with his war elephants. Get ready to explore the epic campaigns and strategic genius of one of history's greatest commanders, right here on Dristorian. Hannibal Barca was born in 247 BC in Carthage, modern-day Tunisia, to Hamilcar Barca, a prominent Carthaginian general who fought in the First Punic War. From an early age, Hannibal was immersed in a military environment, as his father sought to rebuild Carthage's power following its defeat by Rome. According to legend, Hamilcar made the young Hannibal swear an oath of eternal hatred against Rome, a vow that would define his life's mission. After Carthage's loss in the First Punic War, Hamilcar took his family to Iberia, modern Spain, where he expanded Carthaginian influence and wealth. Hannibal spent much of his youth in military camps, receiving rigorous training in warfare, tactics, and leadership. After Hamilcar's death in battle around 228 BC, Hannibal's brother-in-law, Hasdrubal the Fair, took command and continued Carthaginian expansion in Spain. During this time, Hannibal served as an officer and gained first-hand experience in combat and diplomacy. When Hasdrubal was assassinated in 221 BC, the army proclaimed Hannibal, then only 26 years old, as their commander. With the support of Carthage, he quickly solidified control over Iberia, setting the stage for his legendary campaign against Rome. Hannibal's early career began in Iberia, modern Spain, where he quickly proved himself as a brilliant and ambitious military leader. After the assassination of Hasdrubal the Fair in 221 BC, Hannibal, at just 26 years old, was elected commander of the Carthaginian forces by the army, a decision later ratified by the Carthaginian government. He immediately set out to consolidate Carthaginian control over the Iberian Peninsula, strengthening its economic and military position. His first major campaign was against the Olcades, a powerful Iberian tribe which he swiftly defeated, expanding Carthaginian influence further inland. He then turned his attention to the Vacae and stormed their cities, demonstrating his ability to conduct rapid, decisive campaigns. However, his most significant early challenge came from the city of Saguntum, a Roman ally in Iberia. Hannibal saw Saguntum as an obstacle to Carthaginian expansion and laid siege to it in 219 BC. Despite fierce resistance, he captured the city after an 8-month siege, provoking Rome, which demanded his surrender. When Carthage refused, Rome declared war, igniting the Second Punic War in 218 BC. With this, Hannibal prepared for his most audacious campaign, an overland invasion of Italy, beginning the legendary journey that would cement his place as one of history's greatest generals. Hannibal played a pivotal role in the Second Punic War, 218 to 201 BC, leading one of the most daring military campaigns in history against Rome. After the fall of Saguntum, he assembled a diverse army of Carthaginians, Iberians, Numidians, and war elephants, and launched an audacious invasion of Italy. In 218 BC, he famously crossed the Alps, enduring harsh weather, enemy attacks, and significant losses, but ultimately emerged into northern Italy with a formidable force. His strategic brilliance became evident in a series of decisive victories over Rome. He defeated the Romans at the Trebia River, 218 BC, where he lured them into an ambush, then crushed them at Lake Trasimene, 217 BC, with a masterfully executed surprise attack. His most famous victory came at Cannae in 216 BC, where he encircled and annihilated a vastly superior Roman army, killing tens of thousands in one of history's most devastating defeats. Despite these victories, Hannibal struggled to gain sufficient reinforcements from Carthage, and Rome adapted by avoiding direct battles and waging a war of attrition. Hannibal maintained control of southern Italy for over a decade, forging alliances with Rome's enemies, including the southern city of Capua and the Macedonian king, Philip V. However, Rome, under generals like Fabius Maximus and later Scipio Africanus, slowly regained the upper hand. In 203 BC, Hannibal was recalled to defend Carthage from Scipio's invasion of North Africa. In 202 BC, he faced Scipio at the Battle of Zama, where Rome's superior cavalry and tactical adjustments led to his final defeat. This marked the end of Carthage's challenge to Rome's dominance, and Hannibal was forced into exile, bringing his remarkable military career to an end. Hannibal's crossing of the Alps in 218 BC remains one of the most extraordinary feats in military history. After securing his base in Iberia and defeating Roman forces in Gaul, he set out on an ambitious plan to invade Italy by land, avoiding Rome's dominant navy. Leading an army of approximately 50,000 infantry, 9,000 cavalry, and around 37 war elephants, he crossed the Rhone River and advanced toward the Alps, facing early resistance from local Gallic tribes. As his forces ascended the treacherous mountain passes, they encountered extreme cold, steep cliffs, and constant ambushes from hostile mountain tribes. The army, unaccustomed to the harsh alpine conditions, suffered heavy losses due to frostbite, starvation, and enemy attacks. Despite these immense hardships, Hannibal's leadership and determination kept his troops moving. He used ingenious tactics, such as lighting fires to crack ice and clearing paths through rock falls, ensuring his army's survival. After nearly 2 weeks of grueling travel, he descended into northern Italy with roughly half of his original force, battered but still determined. Though he had lost thousands of men, his successful passage stunned the Romans, who had not expected an invasion from the north. This daring maneuver set the stage for his legendary victories in Italy, proving his unparalleled strategic brilliance and resilience. Hannibal's battles in Italy during the Second Punic War showcased his tactical genius and ability to defeat Rome's larger, well-trained armies through superior strategy. After emerging from the Alps in late 218 BC, he quickly engaged Roman forces at the Battle of the Trebia River. Using deception and terrain to his advantage, he lured the Romans into a trap, allowing his hidden Numidian cavalry to strike from the rear, resulting in a crushing defeat for Rome. The following year, in 217 BC, he executed one of the most famous ambushes in military history at the Battle of Lake Trasimene, where he trapped a Roman army under Gaius Flaminius against the lake's shore. His forces struck with devastating speed, annihilating the Romans and leaving thousands to drown or be slaughtered. This victory sent shockwaves through Rome, leading the Senate to appoint Fabius Maximus as dictator, whose Fabian strategy of avoiding direct confrontation frustrated Hannibal but failed to stop him. In 216 BC, Hannibal achieved his greatest triumph at the Battle of Cannae, where he faced a massive Roman army of nearly 80,000 men, almost double the size of his own force. Using a double envelopment tactic, he allowed the Romans to push into his center, while his flanks and cavalry encircled them completely. The result was a massacre, with tens of thousands of Romans killed and captured, making it one of the most devastating defeats in Roman history. Despite these victories, Hannibal lacked the resources to besiege Rome itself, and instead focused on securing allies in southern Italy, including Capua. However, as Rome adapted its strategy, avoiding pitched battles and gradually cutting off his supply lines, Hannibal's momentum slowed. Though he remained undefeated in open battle for over a decade, Rome's growing strength and counteroffensive in Spain and Africa eventually forced him to abandon Italy in 203 BC to defend Carthage, leading to his final defeat at Zama a year later. The Battle of Zama, fought in 202 BC, was the decisive clash that ended the Second Punic War and sealed Hannibal's fate. After being recalled from Italy to defend Carthage, Hannibal assembled an army composed of veteran infantry, newly recruited levies, and war elephants. Facing him was the Roman general Scipio Africanus, who had studied Hannibal's tactics and adapted Rome's strategies accordingly. As the battle began, Hannibal unleashed his war elephants to break the Roman lines, but Scipio countered by opening gaps in his formation, allowing the elephants to pass through harmlessly before they were driven back. The battle then turned into a brutal infantry engagement, where Hannibal's experienced veterans held firm against the Roman legions. However, Scipio's superior Numidian cavalry, led by Massinissa, played a crucial role. After driving off Carthage's cavalry early in the battle, they returned to strike Hannibal's rear, throwing his forces into chaos. Surrounded and overwhelmed, the Carthaginians suffered a devastating defeat, with thousands killed or captured. This loss forced Carthage to sue for peace, effectively ending the war and stripping Carthage of its military power. Hannibal, though escaping the battlefield, was now a fugitive, marking the end of his long struggle against Rome. After his defeat at Zama in 202 BC, Hannibal remained in Carthage and turned to politics, becoming a suffet, chief magistrate. He implemented financial and administrative reforms to help Carthage recover from the war, but his efforts alarmed the Roman Senate, which saw him as a lingering threat. Under Roman pressure, Carthage forced him into exile around 195 BC. Hannibal first sought refuge in the Seleucid court of Antiochus III in Syria, advising him in his war against Rome. However, after Antiochus was defeated in 190 BC, Hannibal fled again, moving between various eastern rulers, including King Prusias, the first of Bithynia. Even in exile, Rome pursued him relentlessly. By 183 BC, Roman envoys demanded his surrender from Prusias, leaving Hannibal with no escape. Refusing to be captured, he took poison, reportedly saying, "Let us now relieve the Romans of their fears, since they find it too tedious to wait for an old man's death." His death marked the end of one of history's greatest military commanders, but his legacy endured as a symbol of resistance against Rome. Hannibal Barca's legacy endures as one of history's greatest military commanders, renowned for his strategic brilliance and daring tactics. His victories against Rome, particularly at Cannae, influenced military strategies for centuries, inspiring leaders like Napoleon and military theorists such as Clausewitz. Despite ultimately losing the war, Hannibal's ability to challenge Rome at its height demonstrated the power of tactical ingenuity over sheer numbers. His legacy also shaped Rome itself. His near conquest forced the Romans to reform their military and adopt new strategies, contributing to their later dominance. Even in defeat, Hannibal became a symbol of resistance and determination, with his name evoking both fear and admiration in Rome for generations. Today, he remains an enduring figure in military history, remembered for his boldness, resilience, and genius on the battlefield. Hannibal's impact on Tunisia, the heartland of ancient Carthage, is profound despite his ultimate defeat by Rome. As one of Carthage's most legendary figures, he symbolizes the city's strength, resilience, and opposition to foreign domination. His leadership during the Second Punic War showcased Carthage's military and strategic capabilities on a global scale, making Tunisia a key player in Mediterranean history. Even after his exile, his reforms in Carthage, particularly in administration and finance, helped stabilize the city in the face of Roman pressure. However, his war against Rome also contributed to Carthage's downfall, as Rome remained fearful of its resurgence, leading to the Third Punic War, 149 to 146 BC, and the eventual destruction of Carthage. Today, in Tunisia, Hannibal is remembered as a national hero, and his legacy is deeply embedded in the country's historical identity, representing both Carthaginian pride and the enduring struggle for sovereignty. And that concludes the incredible story of Hannibal Barca, one of history's greatest military masterminds. From his daring Alps crossing to his legendary battles against Rome, Hannibal's legacy continues to inspire and captivate minds around the world. His tactics shaped the future of warfare, and his resilience remains a symbol of determination and strategic brilliance. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more epic tales of the past. Stay tuned for more fascinating historical deep dives, and we'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep exploring history